fine, whatever. Welcome back to my channel. So we're gonna talk about episode 3 of Ready to Love. And I notice in my videos that I'm always looking over here. So it's 2 windows right here. Well, it's a window and a big door right here. So I'm always like looking because stuff be passing by, and then the TV is right here. So anyway, if you see me looking over there, something went by and caught my attention, but I'm still focused on y'all though. Anyway, this episode was funny to me, and I really was watching this show and said, hold up, let me get my pen and paper, because it was just a lot of thoughts about this episode. So the name of this episode was Opposites Don't Always Attract, because the men had to take out women that they would not normally go for. Last week, Devin and Dominicka went home. So this episode started out with the first gentleman's lounge that they were going to have with Tommy. I have to say, the fellas was looking good. I was like, okay, all right. I feel like this season, it's a tough crowd with this cast. Like, you got a handful of dudes that seem like they're a little, difficult to work with. And then you got a handful of ladies that seem like they're a little difficult to work with. But like I said, the reason why I like this show is that it's giving us a view of all of the things that we have all probably experienced at some point in the dating world. Like, we've all met some of these people, right? If you haven't met 1 or 2 of the characters that have been on these seasons, then you just must not be dating. But we've just all met some of these people before. And it kind of shows us how certain personalities are received. Now, this is edited, so we're not seeing everything. We're seeing the story that Owen wants us to see. But it's just interesting because, like, even the subject of Shareese and how she doesn't want a man that has been married or had a kid before, and she's in her 40s. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that she has to date a man that is her age. She could go younger. I was watching Kamisha Review's panel earlier, and Tina from a couple seasons ago pointed that out. Like, she could go younger. You know what I mean? I could see that. And I think that she's probably going to have to go younger, because she's going to have to get with a dude who's going to be okay with being told what to do, because y'all can't tell me that Shareese is not going to be the boss in that relationship. Okay? But, I mean, even like Justice. Like, I've met a whole bunch of Justices before. Like, dude that just think he's so like that you just should be blessed to be in his presence. Or nice guys like LJ comes off as a nice guy to me. Randall kind of fits in the middle. He's like one of those guys that will go with the flow, but he probably will put his foot down if he had to or whatever. But it's just interesting to see even how different people react to different people. Mike is not having any luck connecting with anybody except for Brandi and maybe Kayla. I could see a connection between him and Kayla. But Mike comes off to me as the type of guy who, as soon as you rub him the wrong way, he's not even asking for any explanation. He ain't listening. But anyway, let's get back to this. So Tommy asked about their dating challenges, living in Miami. How is it to date in Miami? And the majority of the men, they agreed that Miami has a lot of superficial women. There are superficial women everywhere, but apparently Miami has a lot. And it's hard to find a woman who has the intelligence along with the beauty. That's what they pretty much all agreed on. So like I said, they had to date women that they would not normally go for. So LJ went out with Looney, and apparently he was the only one that got Looney's phone number. Now, that's interesting to me because, okay, this is a special dating situation. It probably would behoove you to get numbers off the top for me, because you're trying to get to know if your match is there. So you would have to talk outside of the show in order to get to know somebody. It doesn't mean that's the person that you pick, but how are you going to rule somebody out if you haven't even talked to them? So LJ was the only one that got Looney's number, and when she had COVID, he was obviously the only one that was checking up on her because he was the only one who got her number. So that's a plus for him because now she comes back into the game and she already has one connection. I was loving Looney's braids and I was loving her personality. So we'll see how that plays out because her and LJ had a little bit of a connection. But it could be that he was just the only one and there was no competition. We don't know if she might click with anybody else. She also had like a little conversation with Justice as well. And Justice seemed like he might have been feeling her a little bit. But Looney and LJ related on the family situation because she lost her mom some years ago and she doesn't have any family around, and he is from the Virgin Islands, so his family is all back home, so he doesn't have any family here either. So they related really well on that aspect. So then Shakira and Zoe go out, and I don't see them together. She pretty much checked him for not getting her number, and she was, really nice about it and everything, and they looked like they had a good date. And I think that Zoe may be like, oh, okay, well, I'll pay her some more attention, but I don't see Shakira going for Zoe because she already got Samson on her mind, and Zoe, I don't know, buddy. I don't know. Because, he said he didn't know whether he should get her number or whatever. I don't remember what he said about why he didn't get her number, but again, you're on a dating show. How are you going to get to know this person if you don't talk to them? I think that some people come onto the show with the same philosophy that they have outside of the show as far as dating is concerned. But you coming on the show is saying that your normal way of dating hasn't been working. So you're going to have to do some things differently, which means you got to get somebody's number and talk to them before you decide whether you like them or not. When they go in these gentlemen's lounges and they talk about who their person is that they're not feeling, I don't feel like you can honestly say you're not feeling somebody if you haven't talked to them. Like, why is that person's name even coming up in your mind if you haven't talked to them? You should be thinking about all of the people that you have talked to, because that's a legitimate answer. It's not a legitimate answer if you have not even talked to the person. How do you know you're not feeling them? That is ridiculous to me when they do that. Every time somebody says, oh, I'm not feeling this person because I haven't had a conversation with them. Well, how the fuck do you know you're not feeling them? This shit is just silly to me. Anyway, but he did end up getting her number on that date, but it's just so crazy to me. Like, how, why are you waiting for a connection before you ask for a number? The connection might happen while you're talking and getting to know each other. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding the whole process, but that irks me, okay? Like, so then Samson and Shareese go out, which it was interesting. It looked like they made a little connection. You know what I mean? You could tell that her demeanor was a lot different with Samson than it was with, with like somebody say Mike. But I like this version of her. I think she was, open. She was paying attention because, okay, Samson is paying attention to body language. Samson is paying attention to a bunch of things that I bet you all the rest of them dudes are not really thinking about. I think he's paying attention to more subtleties than forwardness. In the first episode, I couldn't tell whether he wanted to be pursued by the way he said that he wanted somebody to want to pursue him before he pursues them. That was confusing to me in the first episode, but he cleared it up in this episode because he did say that he wants somebody that's going to make him want to chase him. So, okay. All right. Samson is, yeah. Okay. So I thought that was a good date because on the date, because in his cutaway scene before him and Shareese's date, he did say that the first time he talked to Shareese, she did not make eye contact. She was multitasking and on her phone. And this time she gave him her full attention. She was facing him. They was sitting face to face. So I feel like they really gave themselves a chance to be open and see if they had a connection. And I have to say also, Samson's questions were good. It looked like they had a good conversation. They had a little peck kiss, a peck side kiss goodbye. And both of them seemed to be open to seeing if there's a better connection going forward. So then we have the group date to the trapeze place. And this is what I mean by like difficult people. And it's nothing wrong with being difficult. If it's in your personality, it just isn't your personality. But you do have to realize that you are just one of those people, right? you know, you have like the people when you go out and you like, oh, hey, come on, let's go dance, or let's go do this, or let's go do that. And they like, nah, I'm good. Nah. And it's like, you don't know what the reason is that they're not doing it, but they're just acting like a sour face the whole time. And that's what I got from Justice on this group date to the trapeze place. He wasn't trying to do it, and all of the other men were doing it, and he just was like, I ain't doing it. So it was just like, all right, man, whatever, you know, like, I mean, basic attraction, y'all, come on. Maybe I just made this up, but basic attraction in my mind is when men are doing something physical, whether it's a push-up, playing a sport, or whatever, women like to see that. So when you are the dude that's just like, nah, I'm not, like, you just too cool for school, like, who are you supposed to be right now? Like, come on. You gotta participate. Like, that's what I'm saying. I think some people come into this show and just completely never think about doing anything different. They're just coming like, yeah, I'm about to meet all these people and I'm about to, you know, I'm about to be on this show. And you're not really giving it a chance. So I didn't like that. I wish he would have participated more like the other guys did, because like I said, when a dude is doing a push-up, a pull-up, climbing up on something, running, throwing, we looking. Okay? Anyway. Ladies, get down in the comments. Let me know if I'm right. Am I wrong? Like, I mean, I'm open to all feedback. So on that date was Mike, Looney, Kayla, Shareese, Swayze, Justice, and April. And so Mike and Kayla go over to the couch to talk. And it looks like they're having a good conversation. Like, they're connecting a little bit. They look, you know, they're giving each other like the flirty eyes and stuff. And so April realizes that everybody has broken off into couples and they're talking, and she's not talking to anybody. So she comes over to Mike and Kayla, and she sits by Kayla first, then she gets up and sits by Mike and all up under his shoulder and stuff. Kayla already got her legs all over Mike's leg, and it kind of looked like Kayla was just looking like, okay. Like, okay. It looked like it was awkward to me. And then April and Mike get into this like back and forth almost argument about, you know, was he feeling her? She didn't know, and all this stuff or whatever. But it just looked like it got real awkward. So I think Swayze came over and got Kayla, and she just like moved on or whatever. But they were having a good connection before April came up. But that whole conversation and that back and forth, that was like that is like the kind of thing that shuts a guy like Mike off. He's just like, nah, I'm good. Because that was one of the names that he said in the gentleman's lounge later that he wasn't feeling. And I mean, but I always say everything happens like it's supposed to. April's person wasn't there. She didn't have any connection. So I'm glad she was okay with going home, because why waste your time? You know what I mean? So then Shareese and Mike have a conversation, and that kind of rubbed Mike the wrong way as well, because in the conversation, she was saying that somebody with kids was baggage. And because he has 3 kids, of course, he took offense to that. And I think that Shareese just is not aware of how she comes off, and therefore she offends a lot of people. And she's just not self-aware in certain situations, because I think that I was watching Kamisha's panel earlier, and Dina said it, that she was she used a poor choice of words, and I agree. I think that she could have made, like, delivery is everything. I understand saying, okay, I know what I want and this is what I want, but delivery is everything. And when you're in this situation, I would think that you would want to be open to everybody that's there so that you can make a fair decision. Like Shareese is like that all the time, that she would say that to anybody. And it's not that you can't say it, but like, he was right. If the situation would have been turned around, we would have been dragging him on these YouTube streets, okay? And Twitter too. But like I said, once something like that happens with a dude like Mike, it's no turning back. It's no turning it around. What's done is done. I would have liked to have seen more of that conversation, because we only saw what was said on camera. But Yeah, I just think that she's just not aware of how she comes off in multiple situations, because it's on one hand it's with the men and then it's with the ladies as well. She just is just not self-aware. Randall and Trinika go out, and I think that they make a cute couple. They're both giddy around each other. They're both feeling each other, and they had great questions that they talked about on their date, and Trinika made Randall smile all the way with his ears. So I think that's a good connection to watch. Then there was another group date that Swayze put together, and they went to go do archery. And so it was Katie, Brandi, Swayze, and Mike. So off the top, you know, Brandi and Mike already have a good connection, and then Katie and Swayze already have a good connection. So this was interesting to see them break off. I noticed how Brandi looked over when Mike and Katie walked off to go talk, but then they go back, Mike and Katie go back there and talk, and it was just another awkward conversation. Like, he's telling her that she looks uptight, she's telling him that he looks uptight. They both are, he tells her that she's already judging him, but he done already judged her. It just was like a head-butting conversation, and neither one of them looked open to even having a connection, which kind of makes me think that maybe, just maybe, because Swayze and Katie have already connected, Swayze and Mike could have become cool up to this point. And instead of him just saying, "No, I'm not going to mess with her because she's got a connection with Swayze," he just turned her off, right? He just, I don't want to hear what she has to say. He just, their energy was repelling each other. So, you know, and I could also see both of them being in their head like, my connection for real is out there. Swayze and Brandi had a cute little conversation, but I didn't see a connection there either. It was kind of just like, all right, when is Katie coming back? So Brandi came back there to talk to Mike, and then, you know, they had they continued their connection, and Katie went back out there to Swayze like, you could have came and saved me. So I feel like these two couples already decided that they like each other. So then when Katie and Swayze get back together, her cutaway scene, she was saying that they've been talking every day. So they have been building this connection. And then Mike says that Brandi knows how to talk to him and the other women don't. So I just feel like they have just decided that this is what I like right here. These past couple of seasons, we've had these situations where people connect instantly almost. And so I feel like we just have more than one couple right now. So then they go back to have the gentleman's lounge to talk about how the dates went and everything. And so LJ and Justice are on Looney's line. LJ was like, oh, okay, this guy Justice, all right, he got some competition. So I think he thinks it's funny though. So we should see how that plays out, because Justice is just too cool for school. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But then they get to the part of who they're not feeling, and this is what irritates me. A couple of people said that this is not my connection because I haven't talked to him. How do you know? How do you know? Justice says Katie, and then he says, he talks about I'm not going to say who or whatever he said. He was like, don't be DMing me at 1 o'clock. Okay, sir. If somebody DMs you at 1 o'clock, you do not have to respond. I mean, it just is what it is. I feel like he was being messy. I feel like he said that in order to let the other dudes know that she has DM'd him at 1 o'clock in the morning. But again, this is not a normal dating process. Okay, maybe normally, okay, but I feel like that was messy for him to even bring that up in a group. Like, if you didn't answer, okay, you didn't talk to her, but why would that turn you off if you don't even like know? I just feel like he was being real messy with that. What was the point of that? I feel like he just said that to let the other men know that she DM'd him. I feel like a lot of that probably goes on in those lounges, that people would say stuff to try to throw people off, or even like lie or make something seem like what it wasn't, because you don't have the woman there to defend herself. So it's just unfair. He was doing that shit on purpose. Dream selling ass. So the bottom two women end up being April and Katie. And so April goes home, and Katie gets another chance to stay. Anyway, I think that the couples we have to watch are Mike and Brandi, Samson and Shakira. But then the plot twist comes in for Mike and Brandi because he kind of got a little small connection with Kayla. And then there's another plot twist with Samson and Shakira because he kind of got a little connection started with Shareese. So next week they're having a pool party. I can imagine a lot of stuff went down there. Apparently Justice is leaving early because he got to go work or whatever it is that he do. And Tommy don't look happy about it. So that's all I got for this video. Y'all get in the comments below. Let me know what you think. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace. Fine, whatever.